I want to apologize if my voice sounds a little different or hoarse. It's because I went to Universal's Horror Nights the other night, and my throat is still recovering. The Creator. So The Creator is an original movie brought to us by director Gareth Edwards. He directed the 2014 Godzilla, as well as Rogue One, a Star Wars story. This movie takes place a few decades in the future. We now live in a world where AI robots have been integrated into our society, kind of like Blade Runner. But now we're at war with them, kind of like Terminator. Long story short, our main character, who's an ex-Special Forces agent named Joshua Taylor, is sent on a mission to retrieve the AI's new ultimate weapon against us. Turns out that weapon is this little AI kid. Well, we don't want to kill a kid now, do we? Actually, that's starting to remind me of the pilot of The Mandalorian, just saying. So now Josh Taylor and this kid, who he names Alfie, go on their sci-fi adventure together. And now we have the motion picture event, as the trailer calls it. So how is the movie? I thought it was pretty cool. Those early reviews, I think they overhyped it a little bit. They're like, this is the best movie of the year. Oh my god, it's the coolest sci-fi I've seen in years. I don't know, for me it wasn't like that. It's definitely an intriguing movie, that's for sure, and visually it's awesome. Alright, let's talk about this movie. John David Washington, who we remember from Tenet, he plays Josh Taylor, and yeah, he really brings it in this movie. I thought it was fantastic. He has a lot of emotional scenes because he does have personal ties to the situation. I'm not gonna spoil what they are, but yeah, we're not just trying to save the world here or whatever. He has personal reasons for doing what he's doing, which is great. I'm glad Gareth Edwards made that call, because that gives the audience something to connect to. And then there's the kid who plays Alfie. I don't know her name right off the bat. I should look it up out of respect. Alright, give me a second. Madeline Una Voiles. That was worth looking up because she was awesome too. I wouldn't say her character grabbed me as much as, say, X-23 in Logan, or Ellie in The Last of Us, because this is that kind of adventure, you know, with an adult man and a young girl. But to be fair, this character is not like those other characters, really. She's not some action star. She's more curious about the world than anything else. There is something special about her. There is a reason that she is the AI's ultimate weapon, which I thought was pretty cool. But really, the connection that these two main characters have, that's supposed to be, you know, the driving force of this movie, and for the most part, it pulled it off pretty well. I'll touch more on that later on. This movie also has a pretty good supporting cast as well. Ken Watanabe, Gemma Chan, Allison Janney as like the main dick colonel who's hunting the main characters down. Haven't seen her in a while. She should be in more stuff. She was good. In fact, there's a scene pretty early on where her character is given some emotional depth. That was really well done. I felt that. Now, of course, the big thing that I really gotta talk about when it comes to this movie is the aspect ratio, because you know I'm big on aspect ratios. I don't think I've ever seen a movie with this aspect ratio before. It's like super widescreen. And I don't know, for me personally, I never really got used to it. What really kind of perplexed me about it is the fact that this is Gareth Edwards, a director who is known for showcasing things that are huge in scale, like Godzilla or the AT-ACTs in Rogue One. And usually big scale things, you know, you're looking up. But in this movie, and yeah, there are a lot of huge big scale things in this movie, but they really are more horizontal. That big huge ship we see in the sky is called the Nomad. It's really horizontal. It's got a huge span. The big futuristic military tanks we see on the ground, they're very long. And people in the future, I guess they watch TV in that kind of aspect ratio too. They're all widescreen TVs sometimes. So I get it. The aspect ratio is really meant to be more immersive. So I understand, but I don't know, I just never really got used to it. Maybe it's because I'm such a huge fan of IMAX aspect ratio, I don't know. But yeah, visually speaking, this movie is awesome. The CG visual effects in this movie, I mean, that's Gareth Edwards for ya. The action scenes are very well choreographed. It is a very immersive movie because it feels very real. It feels authentic. And a lot of that also comes from the world building. This world does feel very lived in. This movie spends a good amount of time setting everything up. Like, it's got a prologue that says, okay, first this happened, then this, then this, then this. Because there is a lot of setup for the main story of this movie. Really, Josh Taylor doesn't find the kid until a good ways in. Like, I'd say at least half an hour in, which this movie being about 2 hours and 15 minutes long, the fact that it took that long to get to the main story, I was getting a little concerned about the pacing, but it ended up working out. My main thing about this movie is that the whole time I was watching it, I was kind of teetering. Like, I was watching it and I was like, am I really emotionally invested in this story? Not that I have anything against it. There's nothing wrong with it at all. On the contrary, it's pretty cool. But I guess just to me, there was nothing really special about it. Most things that are in this movie, you know, things that happen or things I see, I have seen in other movies before, including some plot points. There were some things where I was like, I called that. Not everything, but a few things. And this is when I finally learned that I have watched a lot of movies, because I'm pretty sure even just a few years ago, I would not have been able to call as many plot points as I did with The Creator. So yeah, I feel like I'm starting to get wise to the act. So if you're a cinephile like me, you might feel the same way about this movie. If you're not, then you've got some plot twists coming. Ultimately, the story did win out in the end. I was like, that was really well done. That was great. It was emotional. I felt it. It stuck the landing. And of course, we gotta talk about the movie's score, composed by Hans Zimmer. This was some pretty epic stuff right here. I don't think this is gonna go down in history as one of Zimmer's most memorable scores, but there are definitely some scenes, especially in the second half of the movie, where the emotions are kicking on, something huge is happening, and the orchestra cues in, and there's this big swell of music. I was like, oh yeah, there's Hans Zimmer. That's hitting me. So that was cool, but really, like, for the first half of the movie, I didn't even really notice the score, because there was nothing really special about it. But in the end, The Creator is neat. It's a neat movie. That's like the perfect word to describe it for me. It's intriguing, it's visually glorious, the story is really well executed, if not partially predictable depending on how much experience you have at the movies. But the acting is fantastic all across the board. John David Washington, Madeline Univoyles, they carry the movie and they do a pretty good job at it. It did take me a while to really get into it, but the ending brought it home for me. For The Creator, I will say, go see this movie while it's in theaters. So, The Creator, have you seen it yet? What are your thoughts on it? And what's your favorite Gareth Edwards movie so far? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm on a pretty huge Megan kick right now, because they had a live Megan show at Horror Nights, and honestly, it was my favorite part of the night. It was awesome. So I'm gonna watch that movie again. Peace!